All right, hello again, Danny. I'm so excited to be doing this lesson with you. Today we are doing lesson number 10. Yay! And it is the last lesson that you have before your exam. So you'll have to pay extra attention to this one because you will be tested on this one on the next day's test. Okay? But you're going to do great, I know, because you've been keeping up on everything. So the first thing that we're going to do is your 100 addition facts. These are going to be easy because we're back to practicing addition for this time. So get your pencil ready and you'll have 5 minutes to do your addition facts. Okay, see you in 5 minutes. Okay, hi Danny. You should be done with your addition facts now, and we are going to start doing the rest of the warm-up. And that starts out with mental math. And for today's mental math, we are going to practice adding 9 or adding 19 to a number. And you remember how you do that, right? When you add 9, in your head you add 10, and then you say, well, 9 is 1 less than 10, so you'll subtract 1 from the final answer that you get. Same with 19, it's the same kind of concept, but in your head you add 20, and then you think, well, 19 is 1 less than 20, so the answer is going to be 1 less than whatever you get. All right, so let's try it and see how you do. Okay, we're going to start with A. A is 28 plus 9. So write down your answer. We're going to go to B. B is 36 plus 19. Try and do that in your head. C is 43 plus 9. D is 25 plus 19. E is 56 plus 9. And then F is 45 plus 19. Okay, if I went too fast, just pause the video and write your answers down, okay? And I'm going to keep going on to problem solving. And once again, we're back to our good old friend Terrell. And Terrell has some coins in his pocket again. And this is what it says for problem solving. Terrell has a total of 10 coins. He has 4 more coins in his right pocket than his left pocket. How many coins does Terrell have in each pocket? Okay, this sounds like a really complicated question, but you have been working your way up to this with every single problem solving that we did before. So what you're going to do is you are going to make a table, okay, and you're probably getting really good at this now. And if I were making one, I would say, well, this is the left pocket and this is the right pocket. And what are the things I know? I know that the total is going to be equal to 10 coins. And I know that he has more in his right pocket, so I'm going to put a less than sign here because the left is less than the right side because he has more on his right. And I actually know that there's 4 more coins in his right pocket than in his left. So whatever he has in his left, you have to add 4 to that, and that's going to be what he has on his right. So you can do it with a table, or you can just do it with trial and error and figure out what is the best way that works for you. Pause the video right here because I think this is going to take a little bit of time. But I think that there's only one answer. Instead of having a table where you had like multiple answers in the past, I think there's going to be only one answer that works. Okay, so you try and figure that out, and I'll see you in a minute. When you're ready to go on, we're going to go over this new concept. And the new concept first goes over even numbers. And the even numbers are the numbers that you say when you count by twos. So when you count by twos, you start with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And you know how to do that, right? And the list of even numbers will go on and on forever. It never ends. If you started counting even numbers now and never stopped, you'd be counting forever. Okay? And what's interesting is you don't usually begin with 0 when you're counting. Like if you have a pile of marbles or something, someone asked you to count them, you don't start with 0, 2, 4, 6 or whatever, or 0, 1, 2, 3 or whatever. You don't usually say 0. That's not one of the counting numbers. But it is important to know that 0 is an even number. And it's a weird thing because 0 is like no value. It has no value. But look at the last numbers of all of these. So this ends in 2, obviously, because it's just one digit. But once you get to 2-digit numbers, it's 0, 2 is the last digit, 4 is the last digit, 6 is the last digit. So if you only look at the last digits, it goes 2, 4, 6, 8, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. And it would go like that forever. And that's how you know that something is an even number. Because if it ends in 0 or 2 or 4 or 6 or 8, then it's an even number. All even numbers end with one of these numbers. So see, 0 is included in that. So 0 is an even number. Okay, let's move on. Here is an example. This example, which one of these numbers is an even number? And you see 3 numbers listed below, 463, 285, and 456. Only one of those is an even number. So if I wanted to figure this out, I'm going to look at the last digit. That's a 3, that's a 5, that's a 6. Only one of those numbers is an even number, and it's this one because it ends in 6. Okay, I think you know how to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. And it's going to talk about odd numbers at the bottom of page 35. So if you have a whole number that is not an even number, so it doesn't end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, then it's an odd number. And you could make a list of odd numbers by beginning with the number 1 and then just adding 2 to that forever and ever. So if you start with 1 and you add 2, you get 3. Add 2 to that, you get 5. Add 2 to that, you get 7. And this will also go on forever and ever. You can tell that because of these 3 dots at the end. That means that it's a sequence that goes on forever and ever. And this is a sequence of odd numbers. Okay? So let's go on to example 2. Example 2 says, use the digits 2, 7, and 6. So it wants us to use all 3 of those digits to write 2 3-digit odd numbers. So the number that you end up with is going to be 3 digits, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And it wants the numbers that we write to be an odd number. So if that's the case, it can't end in 2 and it can't end in 6. The only number that it can end with is this 7, right? So I'm going to put this 7 at the end, and I'm going to put it at the end here. And then you can figure out that the 2 numbers that it wants you to get have to be 267, because that's using these other 2 numbers, or it's going to be 627. Because when it told you that it wanted an odd number, then that means this is the only number that can be at the end. Hopefully that makes sense, okay? If it doesn't make sense, rewind it and try and listen to it again, and sometimes it'll sink in a different way. Let's do example 3. Example 3 says, list the 5 3-digit odd numbers that have a 7 in the hundreds place and a 5 in the tens place. All right, so let's see if we can figure this one out. So there's going to be 5 3-digit numbers. So I'm going to erase this because we're going to have lots more than that, right? We're going to have 5 3-digit odd numbers. So here's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all of these are going to be 3-digit odd numbers. And it tells you that they want a 7 right here in the hundreds place. So where's the hundreds place in a 3-digit number? Well, it's here. and it wants a 7 in all of these hundreds place. And then it wants a 5 in the tens place. So where's the tens place? It's here. Okay. And then the other thing that it wants is that it wants an odd number, because it said that at the beginning. It wants an odd number. So if it's an odd number, what does it have to end with? Can it end with 0? No, it cannot. So we have to erase that. It can't end in 0, but it could end with 1, right? It could also end with 3. It could end with 5. It could end with 7, or it could end with 9. But there are no other numbers that it could be. So these are the 5 3-digit numbers that it's looking for. Okay? Let's move on. All right, the next thing that it wants to point out is that an even number of objects can be separated into 2 equal groups. So, for example, 6 is an even number. And if you wanted to separate that into 2 different groups, you would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that divides 6 into 2 groups. These are the 2 groups, and it's equal. So like if you had one of these rectangles and I had one of these rectangles, we would both have the same number of dots. Now what happens if you try and do the same thing with an odd number? Well, let's try it with the number 5. And if you can only draw 5 dots, then I would say, well, you get 1 and I get 1. Then you get 1 and I get 1. But who gets the last one? So you cannot separate an odd number into 2 equal groups because you will always have 1 left over. Okay? All right, so let's do an example. This is example 4, and it's at the bottom of page 36 if you're following along. It says, the same, oh, I erased that. Let's undo that. Let's try that again. It says, the same number of boys and girls entered the contest. So you kind of have 2 groups. You have a group of boys and you have a group of girls. And it says that those groups have the same number in them. Which of these numbers could be the total number of contestants? So it's looking for the total number of people that entered the contest. So let's see. Could it be 25? Well, we know that there's a group of boys and a group of girls, and this has to be an equal number of people because the number of boys equals the number of girls. But if you have an odd number because this ends in 5, then that cannot be equal. There will always be a leftover boy or a leftover girl. So it can't be 25. What about 26? If you separate that into boys and girls, there could be 13 boys and 13 girls because that's half of 26. So that would be an equal number. So I think it could be this one. But let's try it with the last one. If you separate that into boys and girls, because this is an odd number, these will never be equal. Because you can't split a boy or a girl in half. That would be crazy, right? So the answer has to be this one, 26, because it's the only one that's an even number. Mission accomplished, Danny. Good job. That's the end of your lesson. I hope you enjoyed it today. Okay, Danny, that is the end of lesson 10 for you. I hope that lesson made sense for you, and I hope you kind of enjoyed it. Now it's time for you to do your lesson practice. So for your lesson practice, it's going to start here, okay? And this is your lesson practice that goes with lesson 10, and then the mixed practice is a mixed review of lots of different things, okay? So, and then you have a few more on the back side. So don't forget to do the back. You have a little extra work or a little extra space here, so you can show your work if you need to, but you can also use another page if you need to have more space for extra work. Alrighty, hope you enjoyed your lesson, Danny, and have fun doing your math. Okay, see you later. Love you. Bye.